Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Mark, your host, and I'm so glad you've joined us today.
And I'm Jessica, your co-host. Whether you're on your way to work, taking a walk, or just relaxing at home, we're excited to be part of your English learning journey.
Today's episode is a special one. We're talking about something I know many of you have been waiting for: how to speak better in just a few weeks.
Yes, so many learners believe it takes years before they can feel confident speaking English. But the truth is, with the right mindset and strategies, you can start noticing real progress in just a short time.
Exactly. And in today's conversation, we're going to break down practical tips, weekly steps, and even share a practice activity you can do along with us. By the end of this episode, you'll have a simple roadmap that can transform the way you speak English starting today.
So stick around because if speaking English feels like a challenge right now, this episode could be the turning point you've been looking for.
You know, Jessica, before I ever hosted a podcast, I had my own struggles with speaking another language. I remember when I first tried to speak Spanish on a trip to Mexico. I knew a lot of vocabulary, I'd studied grammar, but when it came to actually opening my mouth, I froze.
Oh, I can imagine that. It's such a common experience. You've got all the words in your head, but when it's time to use them, suddenly they just disappear.
Exactly. I was standing at a cafe counter, and instead of ordering confidently, I hesitated, mumbled a few words, and the barista just looked at me politely while I panicked. I ended up pointing at the menu like a tourist.
That is so relatable. And you know what, Mark? I've had a similar moment with French. I practiced so much at home, but the first time I tried to speak with a real French person, I felt my heart racing. I worried about every mistake, and in the end, I barely said anything.
Yes, and that's the thing, so many English learners feel the same way. They've studied grammar for years. They understand a lot when they read or listen. But speaking feels like climbing a mountain.
And that fear of making mistakes often makes the problem even worse. Learners think, I'll wait until I'm perfect before I speak. But the truth is, if you wait for perfection, you'll never start.
Exactly. And here's the good news: you don't have to wait years. You can start building confidence and fluency in just weeks if you take the right steps. That's what we're going to explore today.
So if you've ever felt stuck, embarrassed, or even silent when trying to speak English, stay with us because you're not alone, and there's a way forward.
All right, Jessica, let's dive into the heart of the issue. Why is speaking English so hard for so many learners?
Well, one big reason is fear of mistakes. People think, if I say something wrong, others will laugh at me or judge me. That fear makes them freeze.
Exactly. I've heard so many learners say, I understand English, but I can't speak it. And often, it's not about ability, it's about confidence.
Yes, and it's interesting when you're a child learning your first language, you make thousands of mistakes, right? You say funny words, mix things up, but nobody laughs at you. They encourage you.
That's such a good point. But as adults, we put pressure on ourselves to be perfect. And perfection becomes the enemy of progress.
Another struggle is lack of practice partners. Many learners study English from books, apps, or YouTube videos. They know vocabulary and grammar, but they don't have anyone to actually talk with.
Right. It's like learning to swim by reading a book. You can study the strokes, you can memorize the rules, but until you get into the water, you won't know how it feels.
Exactly. And speaking is the same. You can't just know English, you have to use it.
Another challenge I hear all the time: learners keep thinking in their native language first. They translate every sentence before speaking.
Oh, yes, and that slows everything down. Imagine you want to say, "Can I get a coffee?" But instead of just saying it, your brain goes through this process. First, you think it in your language, then you translate each word, then you check the grammar in your head, and by the time you're ready, the waiter has already moved on.
Exactly. And that makes speaking feel frustrating. The goal is to start thinking directly in English, even with simple sentences.
So, to sum it up, the three big struggles are fear of mistakes, not enough speaking practice, and thinking in your first language instead of English.
And if you've ever felt these struggles, don't worry. You're not alone. Every learner goes through them. The good news is, they're not permanent. With the right approach, you can overcome each one.
And that's what we'll talk about in the next part, how to build a foundation for quick improvement.
All right, so we've talked about the struggles. But now let's switch gears, Jessica. What are the foundations that can help learners improve quickly?
The very first one is mindset. You have to believe that progress is possible. If you tell yourself, "I'll never be good at English," then every mistake feels like proof. But if you tell yourself, "Every mistake is practice, every attempt makes me stronger," you'll improve much faster.
That's so true. I always say, confidence comes before fluency. If you wait to feel fluent before speaking, you'll wait forever. But if you build confidence first, fluency follows.
Exactly. And here's the second foundation, consistency. You don't need 3 hours a day. Even 10 to 15 minutes of focused speaking practice, done every single day, is far more powerful than cramming once a week.
Yes, think of it like fitness. If you do one giant workout once a week, you'll be sore but not strong. But if you do a little exercise every day, the results build up quickly.
Love that comparison. And the third foundation is choosing the right practice methods. Not all practice is equal. For example, shadowing is fantastic. That's when you listen to a short clip of English and repeat it out loud, copying the rhythm and intonation.
That's one of my favorites. You can shadow a podcast, a YouTube video, or even a TV show. It's like training your mouth and ears at the same time.
Another great method is short conversations. If you can find a language partner or even talk to yourself, practice quick dialogues like ordering food, introducing yourself, or asking for directions.
Yes, and for those who don't have a partner, recording yourself is a game changer. You speak, then listen back. It feels strange at first, but it helps you notice what's working and what needs improvement.
So, if we put this together, the foundations are mindset, consistency, and effective practice methods. Once you've got those in place, you'll be amazed at how quickly you notice changes in your speaking.
And the best part is, you don't have to wait for years. If you commit to these foundations, you can start seeing results in just a few weeks.
Which brings us perfectly to our next part, how to use these foundations in a practical weekly plan that you can follow step by step.
Okay, Jessica, this is where it gets exciting. We've talked about the struggles, and we've shared the foundations. Now, let's give our listeners something really practical, a step-by-step weekly plan they can follow.
Yes, let's do it. And the key here is that it's not overwhelming. We're going to keep it simple, clear, and realistic.
Exactly. So let's imagine this as a 4-week roadmap. Every week builds on the last one. By the end, you'll have practiced listening, speaking, and real conversation skills. Week 1 is all about listening and repeating. Pick short clips, maybe a 1-minute podcast, a short YouTube video, or even part of this podcast. Listen carefully, then repeat out loud.
Yes, and don't worry about being perfect. Focus on rhythm, tone, and getting comfortable moving your mouth in English. Even 5 minutes a day can make a big difference.
That's right. This week is like training your ears and your tongue warming up for speaking.
Now, week 2 is where we start adding real speaking. Each day, challenge yourself to speak out loud for just 2 to 3 minutes.
And you don't need anyone else at this stage. You can describe your day, talk about what you ate for breakfast, or say what your plans are. The point is to start forming sentences without overthinking.
Exactly. And if you feel shy, record yourself. That way, you can listen back and notice your progress over time.
Week 3 is where we step it up time for interaction. If you can find a language partner, amazing. Have a 5 or 10-minute chat about a simple topic like hobbies, food, or travel.
And if you don't have a partner? Don't worry, you can use role play. Pretend you're at a coffee shop or calling a friend and practice both sides of the conversation.
Yes, I actually used to do that when learning Spanish. I'd practice being the waiter and the customer. Hello, what would you like to order? Then answer myself.
That's such a great trick. It might feel silly, but it builds fluency fast. And now, week 4, this is where you bring English into your daily life. Try to use English in real situations.
That could mean ordering food in English if you live in an English-speaking country, or joining an online conversation group. Even posting a short video or message in English on social media counts.
Yes, the goal is to stop treating English like just study time and start making it part of your life. That's when speaking becomes natural.
So to recap, Week 1, listening and repeating. Week 2, short daily speaking. Week 3, conversations or role play. Week 4, real-life English.
And notice how small the steps are. We're not asking you to suddenly give a speech in English. We're building gradually, week by week.
Exactly. And if our listeners stick with this plan, by the end of just 4 weeks, they'll feel more confident, more fluent, and much less afraid to speak.
I love that. And to make it even more practical, in our next segment, we'll actually do a quick interactive speaking activity that listeners can try along with us.
All right, Jessica, I think it's time for us to give our listeners something they can actually practice right now.
Yes, because listening is great, but speaking along with us is even better. Let's do a short role play that everyone can join in.
Perfect. Let's imagine a very common situation. Ordering a coffee at a cafe. We'll go step by step, and listeners, we want you to repeat after us. Ready?
Here we go. First, the barista says, "Hello, what would you like today?" Now you try, listeners say it out loud.
Nice! And the customer replies, "Hi, can I get a coffee, please?" Your turn.
Great. Next, the barista says, "Would you like milk or sugar with that?" Now it's your turn.
And the customer can answer, "Yes, a little milk, please."
Perfect. And finally, the barista says, "That will be $3. Thank you."
And the customer replies, "Thanks. Have a nice day."
That's it. Simple, right? But here's the trick, don't just repeat once. Practice this mini dialogue a few times. The more you say it, the more natural it feels.
And don't be afraid to change the words. Instead of coffee, ask for tea. Instead of milk, ask for sugar. The point is to practice real sentences that you might actually use.
Exactly, and listeners, if you're practicing alone, you can play both roles, barista and customer. It might feel funny, but trust me, it's powerful.
So here's your mini homework. Practice this dialogue at least 3 times today. Record yourself if you can. You'll be surprised at how much smoother it sounds after just a few tries.
And the more you practice these small, everyday conversations, the faster your confidence will grow. All right, Mark, before we wrap up, let's do a quick Q&A. I'll ask some of the most common questions English learners have about speaking.
Sounds good, let's do it.
Here's the first one. What if I don't have anyone to talk to in English?
Great question. If you don't have a partner, you can still practice. Record yourself, use role play, or even speak to yourself while doing daily activities. For example, while cooking, describe what you're doing in English. I'm cutting the vegetables. I'm boiling the water. It might feel strange at first, but it works.
I love that. Okay, here's another big one. What if I keep making grammar mistakes when I speak?
Honestly, don't worry about it. Communication is more important than perfect grammar. Native speakers make mistakes too. The goal is to be understood, and the more you speak, the more natural grammar will become. Mistakes aren't failures, they're practice.
That's so encouraging, and I think our listeners need to remember, fluency grows through speaking, not through waiting for perfection.
Exactly. Speak first, polish later. All right, let's wrap things up with the key takeaways from today's episode.
Number 1, don't let fear of mistakes stop you. Mistakes are part of learning.
Number 2, consistency matters more than long study sessions. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day can change everything.
And number 3, follow the weekly plan. Listen and repeat in week 1, short daily speaking in week 2, practice conversations in week 3, and real-life English in week 4.
Now, here's your action step for this week. Practice speaking out loud for at least 5 minutes every day. It could be role play, self-talk, or shadowing a short clip. The key is open your mouth and use English daily.
Yes, and don't worry about being perfect. Focus on progress. Even a little bit each day builds confidence fast.
And that's it for today's episode of the English Learning Podcast. We hope you feel inspired to start speaking better in just a few weeks.
Remember, practice a little every day and you'll be amazed at the progress you can make.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one.
And share this podcast with a friend who's also learning English. Learning together makes it even more fun.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep practicing, stay confident, and keep speaking English.